Hi, I am Jill Cerbito, PhD in Philippine Studies student in Tri College, UP Diliman. I would like to present my research paper for PS237, The Philippines and Global Futures. My paper is titled Indigenous Knowledge and Folk Media, a Technological Forecasting of the Bandilyo System in Capul, Northern Samar. Bandilyo, or town crier, is a Cebuano term which, if translated to English, means to blare out or to announce loudly. This is a traditional way of spreading information in Philippine barangays and sitios or other local municipalities. Usually, a barangay official is tasked to announce an information on every street corner. This is considered as a folk media that is shaped by indigenous knowledge and cultural practices and systems. In this presentation, I would like to introduce the Bandilyo system as the main medium of information dissemination in Capul, Northern Samar during the COVID-19 pandemic. And to reach this point, I'll begin by illustrating the language inequalities in the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in the case of the Philippines, then proceed to introducing how this affects Capul Northern Samar. After which, I will now present the Bandilyo system and stress how they utilize it to deal with language barrier and digital divide. Lastly, using technological forecasting, my end goal is to analyze the trajectory of the Bandilyo system and discuss the challenges and opportunities of this medium in future public health crisis. For my research methods, I employed virtual ethnography, where the three main Facebook pages of CAPUL are my primary research sites. Virtual unstructured interviews were also conducted with some key informants to validate information and for some clarifications. I also reviewed some secondary sources as my additional sources. Capul is an island municipality on the western coast of northern Samar. It is a fifth class municipality composed of 12 coastal barangays, and locals live by coconut and rice farming, fishing, and its thriving tourism industry. Its estimated municipal marine waters is 227 square kilometers, equivalent to 66 square nautical miles. Such delineation provides the local government the limits and expanse of jurisdiction, which is essential in the implementation of management and development efforts. Kapul, or its locals, the Abaknons, have a distinct language called Inabaknon. Waray language is not spoken in the whole region of Eastern Visayas. It is only spoken on the northern part of Leyte and the whole island of Samar except Kapul. Surrounded by Waray speakers, Kapul is the only town in the entire region with a distinct language. This language is grouped with the Sama-Bajau language and is related to Yakan and Sulu languages. It has no linguistic relations to any Luzon or Visayan languages, but the island, the municipality, sits in the Visayas. This linguistic surprise can be traced back to the rich history of the island when the native Abaknons intermarried with the Muslim travelers from southern Mindanao. Because Capol was an old trading post during the galleon trade in the time of Spanish colonization. Now, what does this profile mean? Capol is an island municipality and it has a language different from the province it belongs. The question is, in the COVID-19 pandemic, how does information reach them? How do they disseminate information? And this is what I will be discussing in the next slides. We have 200 nation states with 6,000 languages. How can we ensure that everyone has access to timely, high-quality information in their language? With the world population close to 8 billion, how do we get people to wash their hands and maintain social distancing? This is where language plays its part. In order to share the knowledge that will help progress past COVID 19, it is more pressing than ever before to break down language barriers. According to Pilier, the COVID 19 pandemic has brought linguistic inequalities to the forefront as language barriers may compromise the timeliness and the quality at which public health information is accessible to everyone. And to illustrate this, the World Health Organization dedicated an information website on the novel coronavirus disease, and it is available in the six official UN languages. The information is directed at member states who are tasked to localize information through their national health authorities. Different states have taken a wide variety of approaches to the needs of their multilingual populations, but some states carry on with their staunchly monolingual communications unchanged. In the Philippines, the official National Information Center of the government for COVID 19 is the dedicated website under the Department of Health. All information in this website and in national media are in English and Filipino. According to Lising, the predominant use of Filipino and English across a number of national domains has always been motivated by the privileged position these languages hold in the country's national language policy. Although there are frequently asked questions in the website that are available in other major regional languages, none of these are indigenous languages, but may be understood by multilingual indigenous speakers. The point here is many indigenous and other vulnerable communities have difficulty accessing the internet, where most of these platforms and materials are based. This holds true to Abaknons. Having a different language seems to be a problem in times of national and global crisis. Because in order for them to gain access to the latest safety information, they are also expected to speak and understand the language of the state, English and Filipino in particular. For some Abaknons who are multilingual speakers and who have access to devices, this might not be a problem, but it cannot be denied that there is an ample proportion of its population who might have difficulty in processing information, especially those which are written in English. In terms of occupation, most of the Abaknons are a family of farmers and fisher folks. And in most cases, they fall short in affording devices and loads. So in the time of COVID-19 pandemic, when most of high quality information can be accessed through online resources, many Abaknons are left with limited access to, again, quality, fast, and reliable information. Although in Northern Samar there are COVID-19 information and messaging that are translated in Waray language, none of it, however, is translated to Inabaknon. Print materials generated for postings and distribution in the provincial level barely reach the island considering its geographical location. If there's any, it usually comes late. Most of these materials can only be accessed online by municipalities away from the capital town, like, again, Kapol. So, the issues I raised a while ago are language barrier and digital divide. Now, how do Abaknons deal with these problems? To ensure that COVID 19 information will be widely disseminated even to those who do not have access to internet and devices, they utilize the Bandilio system. This is very important considering that there are barangays kilometers away from the poblacion and their adjacent barangays. Also, the best thing here is the language used in this system is their own language, the Inabaknon. This is not actually, this practice is not actually distinct alone to Kapol. In fact, in Eastern Visayas, this practice is still prevalent even until now. Such preference can be explained by the long history of oral tradition in the region. Warais are largely oral, and according to Alunan, they are known to be homegrown storytellers. Nepal and others also pointed out that the word of mouth is the preferred information source for linguistically isolated groups. And Bandilio has an oral component which shows how privileged sense of hearing is over sight for the Warais. The Bandilio system of Kapol is not only the source of information dissemination for its locals. Traditional media, social media, and interpersonal interactions function complementarily and supplement the locals' COVID-19 information acquisition. But the Bandilio system operates mainly, again, as their main source and their main means to disseminate information. They also maximize the use of Facebook. At present, they have 3 Facebook pages. These pages, however, only propagate the knowledge of safe interventions generated by the Department of Health. Most of the materials posted in these pages come from public campaigns and messaging of the Department of Health. The only ones generated by the local government unit of Kapol is the Bandilio, the scanned copy of which is posted directly on these pages. With the advent of technology, increase of social media users, and this time when digital revolution might come our way, how will the Bandilio system, a folk media for information dissemination, survive? How will it be maximized knowing that it has cultural significance? What is the possible technological forecast for this medium? Interestingly, from the findings of the study, Abaknons innovated and introduced the Bandilio system to the online world. They conducted virtual Bandilio on Facebook. The need to innovate such traditional media is an interesting finding. Innovation in this time could be turned to opportunities that could be timely and relevant in our time. As what I have raised a while ago, in a community that has a long history of oral tradition, it is important to hear rather than read news. And most importantly, gain it from a trusted official whom the locals are familiar with. So this shows that the Abaknons trudge a notable path. They have showed the need to localize initiatives into something that works in a specific community. At the same time, abide by the current trends by digitalizing the Bandilio system through their conduct of the virtual Bandilio. In other words, Bandilio will be transformed into new forms and could be interfaced by other medias as years go by. This system won't die because the word bandillo alone is a powerful word that necessitates active listening and collective action. This is why some radio stations in the country are named after the word bandillo. Many Filipinos, especially those in remote areas, know this system because this is part of the culture of these communities, especially those that often experience natural calamities. Second, problems on public trust and information is partially addressed in this system. For Kapul, trusting public service announcements from their local government unit has proven to save their lives because they also often experience typhoons, especially during the northeast monsoon season. And this system has been their main source of information for decades. This finds support from the findings of the Agricultural Training Institute on their research titled Preparing the Rural Poor for Disasters in Eastern Visayas. It stressed that local officials are the main information sources preferred by the locals to directly give warnings and information about coming disasters. Preferred means of communication include bandilyo, barangay assembly, public announcement in churches, and letters to residents. So in conclusion, first, public service announcements through the use of the native language of a community is important when lives are at stake. An example of a place that manifests such lesson is my case study, Kapul. It acknowledges the need to deliver public advisories and other information written in their local language. It necessitated the use of the word of mouth tradition and characterized it in their bandilio system. Second, initiatives on public health crisis should be culture specific. It has been proven that traditional knowledge and cultures are valuable, appropriate, and contribute much to fight the spread of COVID-19. Third, the different modalities of platforms such as traditional media, online and social media, and even interpersonal interactions could function complementarily and supplement individuals' information acquisition. What can be recommended from these findings? First, translation initiatives that could make information available in different Philippine languages should be strengthened. According to Lising, although there are existing initiatives on the national level, much of the work done for Philippine public health campaigns are grassroots generated rather than state initiated. Second, at present, the local government disaster preparedness plans are designed for natural disasters and not for epidemics. So, for pandemic or epidemic policymakers, they should as well consistently regard that each rural community has its unique susceptibility and social vulnerability to future pandemics. In the case of Kapol, it's their geographical location, language, and its social environment as well. That is why the Philippines cannot have a linear COVID-19 response in the entire archipelago because contexts, language diversity, and among others should be regarded. And this is where the local government units play its part. Third, since we now heavily rely on social media and the internet, especially in reaching out fast the remote areas, both the national and local government units should address internet connectivity issues in the country and provide access to devices. This is because although isolated communities like Kapol have initiatives on their own, the government should support the need to improve their resources and means by which their responses to pandemics and other disasters are handled. This is very important because if our future is digital, the Philippines need to prepare for this. Thank you very much. Those are all my findings, conclusions, and recommendations.